Malcolm Reed, 34, had been putting this trip together for 3 years. The plan: take his mother, older brother Darius, cousin Terence, and his best friend Andre to the World Cup. It was finally coming to the US, and Malcolm wanted them all there together. But this was never just about football. His dad, now gone, was the one who got the family hooked. Malcolm still remembered the sounds of their old Atlanta apartment: a fight over jerseys, arguments about who'd win, everyone screaming as the ball hit the back of the net. Every 4 years, that living room felt like the center of the world. Before his father passed, he'd told Malcolm, "One day, you'll see it live. And when you do, bring the family with you." Malcolm never let himself forget those words. So, Malcolm did the work. He ran a logistics company. Every month, he tucked money away for this trip, never missing a deposit. Darius and Terence claimed they'd chip in, but it never happened. Darius always had a car bill due. Terence was between jobs. Andre's business, he said, was slow. Malcolm filled the gap, quietly. He bought the match tickets, booked hotels, handled transport, everything. Even arranged a little side deal with a sports company that needed help moving VIPs around during the Cup. Because he set it all up, every reservation landed under his business account. He didn't know then how much that would matter. 2 weeks before departure, Malcolm came to his mom's place with travel folders in hand. Music floated in from the backyard. People were laughing. He walked through the house and just stopped. Right there on the patio hung a banner: World Cup Family Experience. Darius, Terence, and Andre posed for photos in matching jackets. His mother smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Packed suitcases sat by the door. Malcolm tried to swallow the confusion. What is this? The party stumbled into an awkward silence. Darius set down his drink. We were going to tell you. Tell me what? Terence fixed his attention anywhere but on Malcolm. Darius took the lead, guilt-free. The trip changed. Malcolm's eyes landed on the jackets. There were 4, but none had his name on them. Andre finally explained, "There were concerns about you coming." Whose concerns? Malcolm asked. Darius said, "Everybody's." Malcolm turned to his mother. She looked away. Darius said Malcolm was too serious, too controlling. He'd ruin the fun, make it all about schedules and budgets just like work. Then came the knockout punch. They'd swapped Malcolm out for Darius's new girlfriend, Kendra. Malcolm just froze. "You cut me from the trip I paid for." Darius shot back. "You helped plan it. Stop acting like you own us." Malcolm flipped open his folder. The bank statements made things obvious he'd paid almost 80%. Terence glanced at the paperwork and shrugged. "You make more. Why count every dollar?" His own mother couldn't even meet his eyes. "Darius thinks this way will be more fun," she said eventually. "You can go see a match later." He felt something inside him go quiet. Not break, just quiet. Andre reached for the folders. "Since you're here, can we get the confirmation numbers?" Andre, this guy he'd carried through so many rough years, couldn't even look him in the face. Malcolm closed the folder and said, "I understand." Darius looked relieved. "We knew you'd be reasonable about it." Malcolm just nodded. "Have a safe trip." He left before anyone caught his expression. Later, Darius posted their little party online. Family over everything. World Cup, here we come. Comments rolled in, Terence laughing off negative energy. Andre adding little ha-ha-has. Malcolm watched from his apartment as everyone celebrated on his dime. He didn't comment. He didn't call them out. He didn't beg. Instead, he opened his laptop and started checking contracts. The tickets were in his company's name. The hotels needed his sign-off. The transport was tied to his business account. That VIP upgrade. All under Malcolm. Then the sports company called. He'd landed the lead spot for their World Cup operations. It came with executive lodging, match access, and a fat consulting fee. Malcolm reread the offer, glanced at his family's happy faces online, and realized something. It was never about a vacation. The second they thought they didn't need him, they showed what he actually meant to them. He accepted the contract, then started making calls. Quietly, methodically, he flagged every reservation paid with his money for review. By morning, everything was on hold. For the first time in a while, Malcolm smiled. His family thought they'd left him behind, never realizing they'd never owned the trip in the first place. For 10 days, Malcolm said nothing. The silence made them think he'd rolled over. Darius sent photos of Kendra modeling her World Cup outfits. Terence asked for a last-minute cash transfer. Andre needed the driver's info. Malcolm ignored the photos, answered every logistical question politely. "Everything will be handled," he wrote, and they relaxed. Meanwhile, Malcolm was actually busy, just not with them. He was moving airport pickups, securing hotels, mapping routes for the sports company. His work landed so well he got promoted, overseeing 3 cities, hosting corporate guests, and doubling the money he'd set aside for the family trip. But cash didn't matter anymore. What happened to him had rewired everything. He finally saw that people often love the feeling of being protected or helped, not the person doing it. His loyalty had always meant giving even when it was thrown back in his face. 3 days before the flight, he stopped by his mother's house. She was packing, a new jersey folded on the bed. "You're really not angry?" she ventured. Malcolm just watched her. "Would it matter if I was?" She sighed. "Darius should have said it better." "He said it fine," Malcolm replied. His mom tried to reach out, he stepped back. "Hope the trip is everything you wanted," he said, and left before she could work out what he meant. Departure day at Atlanta's airport. Problem 1. No upgraded seats. The airline said the original purchaser withdrew the authorization. Darius rang Malcolm. "You changed our flights." "I pulled the upgrades I bought. The tickets are still there." Darius hissed, "You're embarrassing us." Malcolm, sitting in an executive car to another terminal, replied, "I'm not even with you." The rest of the trip got worse. At the hotel, the manager couldn't find their reservations. Those were corporate rooms, cancelled. Terence dialed Malcolm, voice high-pitched. "Where do we go now?" "There are plenty of hotels," Malcolm said, "but I only cancelled the rooms on my business account." "We're family." "You remembered that fast," Malcolm replied and hung up. They found last-minute rooms expensive and far from everything. Kendra hated it, Andre pointed fingers, Darius steamed, and nobody could reach Malcolm, who, meanwhile, was relaxing in a luxury suite, watching fans flood the streets below. Game day, they hit their last wall, digital tickets wouldn't open. Spam calls came in from Darius. On the 6th call, Malcolm answered. "You need to fix this now." Darius barked. "Matches in an hour." Malcolm straightened his company badge. "I can't transfer company tickets to unapproved guests." Darius started to panic. "You said the tickets were ours." "I said I secured them." "It's because we brought Kendra, isn't it?" "No. It's because you kicked me out, insulted me all over social media, and expected me to keep paying." His mom's voice jumped in. "Malcolm, please, we're here." "So am I," he replied. She went quiet. "Where are you?" she asked. Malcolm stepped through the corporate entrance. Inside. From across the plaza, Darius saw Malcolm in a suit and credentials, escorted by staff, gliding through security. Suddenly, Darius realized he hadn't ditched Malcolm, he'd left himself behind. Terence tried to follow, security stopped him. Darius yelled Malcolm's name, but Malcolm didn't turn. Later, a video of Malcolm in the VIP box spread online, surrounded by retired footballers and business tycoons. The sports company praised him in public. The post took off. People started to notice. Why was the guy who organized everything locked outside? Darius clammed up on social media. Malcolm, meanwhile, cheered from a prime seat, fully aware the real fallout would come at home. 4 days later, the family limped back to Atlanta. They'd watched the match on a crowded restaurant TV, their money stretched to the limit, relationships frayed, and Kendra gone before the plane even landed. She told Darius she hadn't flown across the country to sleep in a shoddy motel and argue about money. Darius, of course, blamed Malcolm. But Malcolm was busy. His performance at the World Cup brought in more clients. The sports company wanted to make him a regional partner. His logistics business, which started in a cramped office, was suddenly expanding across states. He signed a lease on a new, bigger place. He didn't announce it. The family found out through social media, the ribbon cutting full of executives and local leaders. He dedicated it to his dad. From their mom's living room, Darius and Terence watched the livestream. Andre hovered by the window. Their mother wiped away a tear as a photo of her late husband showed up on the big screen. "That should have been a family moment," she said softly. Darius just shook his head. "He wanted to punish us." Andre finally spoke. "No. We did this to ourselves." Darius frowned. Andre went on. "Malcolm's carried us for years. First time we thought we could have something fun without him, we turned on him." Terence looked down. Because of all the posts, he'd lost clients. Andre had lost photography gigs Malcolm used to refer his way. Malcolm hadn't called anyone, he just stopped recommending those who betrayed him. The rest handled itself. Then the bills hit. Darius went to Malcolm for a loan. They met at a coffee shop. Darius was late. He said, "You made your point." Malcolm stirred his coffee. "What point?" "That you have control." Malcolm's eyes were hard. "You still think it's about control?" Darius leaned in. "You cancelled everything. You embarrassed us. I stopped paying for people who treated me like a doormat. We're brothers. You remembered that at the airport. But you forgot in Mom's backyard." Darius looked deflated. "I was jealous," he finally admitted. He explained how their mom always credited Malcolm for holding the family together. Darius wanted just one moment in the spotlight, but instead, he proved he hadn't done any of the work. He'd tried to cut Malcolm out so he'd look like the leader, and instead, he ended up exposed. Malcolm didn't yell, didn't lecture. He handed Darius a payment plan, not a gift. Lower interest, better terms, but Darius had to pay. "I'll help you learn from this, but I'm not saving you." The old Malcolm would have paid, no questions asked. That guy was gone. His mom apologized next. She admitted she'd sided with Darius because she couldn't handle confronting him. She thought Malcolm would forgive, as always. Malcolm listened and told her forgiveness didn't mean he'd keep bankrolling bad decisions or let guilt set his limits. Terence and Andre got nothing, no loans, no new clients. Darius got a lesson, not a bailout. Malcolm didn't wreck their lives. He just stopped carrying them. Months later, he went to another World Cup match. This time, he took a dozen kids from a youth football team, gave them tickets, jerseys, the whole experience. One boy asked, "Why us, not your family?" Malcolm looked up toward the bright lights. "You're not strangers," he said. "You're the ones who know what a chance like this means." Photos of them at the stadium spread online. Darius saw the picture, Malcolm beaming, an empty seat beside him. That could have been Darius. Not because they were family, but because once upon a time, Malcolm trusted him. That's what betrayal costs. Darius tried to cut Malcolm out of one trip and, in the end, left himself out of Malcolm's future. Inside the stadium, cheers erupted. Malcolm stood among bright-eyed kids, calm and truly happy. He'd kept his promise. He brought a family to the World Cup. Just not the one that took him for granted. He didn't have to destroy his old family to move on. He just stopped letting their choices become his problem. After that, every lie and every selfish act became theirs to deal with. Darius tried to exile Malcolm from one moment, but ended up exiling himself. Malcolm realized something important that night. Family's not just about blood. It's the people who actually respect you, who see what you're giving, and make room for you, not just your sacrifices. Darius was left staring at an empty chair, not because Malcolm hated him but because betrayal actually has a price. So, what do you think? Was Malcolm right to cut them off, or did he go too far? Stick around for more stories where betrayal finds the spotlight, quiet strength plays the long game, and everyone has to live with the choices they make. And subscribe to Revenge and Redemption Tales, where betrayal never stays hidden, quiet strength always has a plan, and every choice eventually meets its consequences. Thank you for watching my video. See you in the next story.